Let me know when we're about to go. Hear that? No? Can you hear me?
Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to our National Engineering Month 2016 wrap-up. It hardly seems possible that the month is already over, but here we are in early April, and we have finished a whirlwind of a campaign in the month of March. So my name is Erica. I've got my team Alan and Shivangana on the line with me, and as always, I am presenting this information to you on behalf of the National Engineering Month Ontario Steering Committee, which is a coalition of organizations dedicated to inspiring the next generation and raising public awareness around the engineering and technology professions. So we've got OSET as one member of that. That's the Ontario Association of Certified Engineering Technicians and Technologists, as well as PEO, which is the Professional Engineers Ontario, the regulatory and licensing body, as well as Engineers Without Borders Canada, and the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers. So first of all, we want to welcome all of our partner organizations and thank them for all of their leadership and dedication to the campaign and growing it over the years. So our campaign did officially wrap up in March, and now we still have a few events straggling along coming out in the beginning of April because there are so many of them. We put together a kickoff webinar on March 1st, and today we wrap up and celebrate the month. It's sort of the opposite bookend. So just a note for everyone who's on the call today, there will be a video replay available, and we'll provide you with a PDF copy of the slide deck as well, since there are some links buried in this presentation that you'll no doubt want to check out. So There is a Place for You was the new theme for this year's National Engineering Month. It was the theme from coast to coast in Canada. Last year, as you know, it was Make a World of Difference. And this year, we really saw a lot of the organizers running with this idea of inclusivity, making people feel welcome and like there's a stake for them in the engineering and technology professions. So that hashtag NEM 2016 picked up a lot of steam, as we'll get into further on in the presentation. So as always, our approach has been to do really strategic and intelligent engineering outreach campaign. And what we mean by that is that we don't just want to do a quantity. We don't just want to do lots of outreach or lots of workshops. We want to do really high quality outreach. We want to break into audiences that have never thought of themselves as being attracted to engineering or technology before, and we want to use consistent messages to help them understand the ways that engineering and engineering technology are relevant to them, really transform the public perception of our profession, and as I said, inspire the next generation. So that's really important. And something that's quite innovative about the way we've been doing it in Ontario for the last couple of years is that we are catalyzing and inviting enthusiastic volunteers. These are actual people who work in those professions or who are studying to work in those professions to be the ambassadors, to be on the front lines telling the stories to the young people and to the general public and explaining what it is that they're all about and what makes them so passionate about what they do. So we do a little bit of the talking to each other at this time of year. That's definitely important to have professionals talking to professionals and students talking to students. But for the most part, we're facing outward and we're thinking about the messages and the takeaways that they need to hear and what they need to know about us and how it affects their lives.
All right, so I'm going to do a quick overview of what happened over the past few weeks. And in fact, there are actually a couple of events still going on right now in the month of April. It's sort of every year National Engineering Month sort of bleeds into late February and into April. The in-person events were fantastic. I think that if you follow the hashtag NEM 2016, you can see a lot of what was going on there. Lots of kids being exposed to engineering and engineering technology and really understanding what the professions are about. High quality sponsor engagement. There was a lot of, we had many sponsors this year once again that contributed a lot. They contributed giveaway items as well. They were in contact with us, and they created a couple of blog posts on our website in order to promote their company and promote engineering. The online engagement, I think, was the best part of NEM 2016. As I said, the hashtag blew up. So, if you want to check it out, go on Twitter, go on Instagram, and check out hashtag NEM 2016 for all the great photos. Innovation, we have this innovation fund that we give out to those organizers that want to be creative with their events. So we received a lot of innovation funding applications, and they were all really great, and we distributed those funds, and they did a really good job in return. We streamlined our logistics. There were certain things that we've done to make sure that all of the goodies and the money gets to people in an efficient manner. And lastly, we continue to grow our network of event organizers. It's really growing, and we're reaching out to communities that we weren't able to contact in previous years. Looking back at NEM 2015, last year we ran 276 outreach events run by our partners, OSET, EWB, Professional Engineers Ontario. Estimated 30,000 children, teens, and adults were reached through the events. Now compare it with this year, 305 events. So we reached that milestone of 300 events this year. We've sort of gone past it, in fact, and while we're still gathering information as to the audience and the media, we can comfortably say that we're around that 300 event mark, and we're really happy with that. If you're an event organizer out there, this is a great place to remind you that we want your scorecards. They're needed in order for us to send your second half funding check or payment. And yeah, it'd be great for us to start compiling the numbers right now. For our partners run great events as well. The first partner that we're going to talk about is OSPI. They kicked off NEM with their annual Purple Power event. In the past, it was run in mid-March or late March as sort of a way to close out the National Engineering Month. And in this case, they decided to kick off National Engineering Month by lighting up the CN Tower. And it was a really fun event. There was an Ontario-wide Rube Goldberg contest or challenge, and that was part of the lighting of the tower. Other events from OSPI, we've got the Raptors game. OSPI also did a week-long event at the CN Tower, not lighting up the CN Tower itself, but doing stuff with the kids and students during March break. They also had events in Sudbury at Science North and in Ottawa at the Aviation Museum. And actually tonight in Ottawa, they're also running a hockey night. They're at the Sens game, Senators hockey game.
Okay, thanks, Alan. So I'm going to talk about the PEO events. As always, we had a great showing from all of our PEO chapters. We had 29 of them participating, and the number looks like it's around 56 events. So that number just keeps going up. We broke 50 last year, and it just continues to grow. So we really want to thank all of our PEO chapters. Especially of note this year, we've got the 9th Annual Engineering Idol. They did a great job, as they always do, and also shone a light on an emerging discipline by talking about prosthetic devices. So really looking at the biomed field is always a goal of ours, to be highlighting some of the possibilities for today's young people that weren't there maybe even 10 or even 5 years ago. Another highlight from the PEO side is the Engineering Innovations Forum. That was a massive event put together by some of the Toronto area chapters. They did a fantastic job and really stimulated some great conversation there around innovation. There is a complete list of all of the PEO chapters who participated right here. Again, an excellent showing. I don't believe we had any new participants come on board this year. I guess the Western Regional Office hadn't organized before, so it was neat to have them on board. The rest were all experienced chapters, and one chapter that was new from last year, Brantford, came on board as well and stayed on board this year. So again, each of these bullet points represents many people, at least a handful, maybe even dozens of people working on their events really hard for weeks or even months. So well done to everyone on that. As far as so here are a few examples of just some things that we saw online. We like to say sometimes that if we don't see evidence of it happening online, we don't necessarily know that it happened. But these are some groups that went out of their way to let us know what they were doing. In this case, this is an event in Oakville at a Catholic school. Looks like they're building something interesting here. And here's a Women in Engineering event that happened in the London chapter. So awesome examples of PEO getting out there in the community. Here's an event that's centered on the nuclear industry out in PEO Oakville. We always love to see those T-shirts. They look fantastic. No matter how old you are, what size you are, everybody looks great in that NEM T-shirt. It's awesome to see them being worn with so much pride with those light bulbs standing out there. And here you can see the PEO Scarborough at the bridge building contest. That happened just a couple days ago. So again, just a small slice of everything that the PEO chapters did. The participating OSET chapters, again, was a very strong showing for them. We had very consistent representation along with a couple of new chapters coming on board. For example, Kingston, who supported the St. Lawrence College team through the College Challenge, which we'll talk about in a little more detail later on. So the College Challenge is a real success story of OSETs. It ran for the third year this year, and it was even bigger than last year. And it had 14 different student-run teams from colleges, 9 colleges represented. At this point, we don't know who will be the top-ranked team for 2016, but we know in 2015 it was Centennial College. They ran a terrific event called Multidisciplinary Science for a Better Society, and they actually had a similar event happened this year as part of the College Challenge, and they did a fantastic job. Tons and tons of organization and planning went into that. So congratulations to everyone that participated in the College Challenge, and we will know the winner in a few weeks as soon as we get all of our scorecards and judges' reports all compiled. And here's a few scenes from some of the OSET organizations. Some of the events that they ran. On the left here, you can see we've got Centennial. Who doesn't love playing with Lego? That's pretty cool. I love the hashtag here, everything is awesome. And then over here, we've got George Brown as well. They did some robotics stuff and worked with some kids and had, by all accounts, a really good time there. So well done to them. Seneca College as well was very active in organizing. They had a couple of different events. This one was part of the College Challenge as well. And you can see on the right here, it wasn't all robots and building things necessarily. The OSET Durham chapter took some time out to have a family skate. So really neat sort of mix of events coming together from the OSET side.
All right. Third partner here that we're going to talk about is EWB, Engineers Without Borders Canada, in what is now a yearly event, not just an event, but a series of events. The Toronto Professional Chapter of Engineers Without Borders ran their Water for the World campaign, if you will, once again partnering with the Toronto Public Library. They went out there and they did their really, really great Water for the World presentation over the course of an entire week. They get in touch with they present around 70 times throughout that week to different students, and the impact is really, really great. And within that presentation, they talk about all sorts of stuff, but particularly water issues and water issues not just in Canada, but also in developing countries. So it's very, very important. Other participating Engineers Without Borders chapters, McMaster, Western, University of Ottawa, Queen's, and Carleton. And I'd just like to note that Carleton especially and University of Ottawa really did a good job in their communities. There you can see a tweet from, sorry, a picture of Greg Fergus, who was actually an MP in Ottawa, and he joined in during their youth summit at EWB Carleton. And then for University of Ottawa, they had a Design for Change challenge where they also invited high school students to come there and work on a very local engineering problem that actually affects people on a day-to-day basis. And you could sort of, the high school students would probably start learning about, the local issues that engineering and engineering technology can alleviate. It was really great, and actually before they ran the event, they had an interview on CBC Radio. The local Ottawa CBC Radio out there was asking the organizers about their event. Very cool. Other event organizers, Go Code Girl, that's a great ongoing event run by the Ontario Network of Women in Engineering. We've got French Education Services Committee. They do French language bridge building contests. You've got the engineering societies from Waterloo, Guelph Wise, Mohawk College ran a bridge building event, I believe. A couple more universities. Inspire, that organization in particular works with the Girl Guides, and they run a lot of presentations there across Ontario as well.
So we can't get very far at all without talking about our sponsors. Again, we had excellent, very generous support from all of our sponsors this year. We had a new lead presenter, several new sponsors come on board, which was fantastic. Obviously, their financial support makes it possible for us to do much of what we do. And next slide, please. Hello? Great. And they donated merchandise. That was one of the ways that they really supported us this year. And also we have this thank you to our sponsors poster. That was something new that we came up with for this year, just to give a little bit of extra recognition to the sponsors. So hope everyone enjoyed receiving those thank you posters and that you hung them up proudly to give that extra recognition and appreciation to our sponsors. So some of the ways that we engage with our sponsors this year, because we think it's very important for them to get something additional out of the campaign, is we wrote some blog posts either for them or co-created them with them, and they donated the merchandise, as I mentioned. We invited their employees to volunteer, as we do every year. Some of them volunteer with the Water for the World campaign. Some of them volunteer with the Endspire campaign to work with the Girl Guides. We had, as I mentioned, some new sponsors come on board, and some increased their support from 2015. So it's great to know that they do see a value, that they're really on board supporting our campaign and understanding the value of what we're trying to do as far as promoting innovation, creativity, sustainability, teamwork, societal impact, and all sorts of other aspects of our profession that we're so proud of as well. So here's a sample of an article that we thought was especially well done. Toronto Hydro put together the piece for us, explaining what some of the engineering and technology professionals that they have on their staff working for them. So it details engineering technologists, certified power cable persons, analysts, professional engineers. So it's not only a nice overview of what happens behind the scenes at Toronto Hydro to keep the lights on, so to speak, which is something maybe not many of us have really thought much about. But also it gives sort of an overview of how these professionals work together in general, which I know before I started working on the campaign, I really hadn't heard a lot about technologists or technicians. So it's really interesting to understand how that fits together with the professional engineers and the other professions. You know, this is all a team that works together to solve important problems every day. And another example of a sponsor spotlight that we put together was a group of students at the University of Waterloo that do completely autonomous aircrafts, aka drones. They call themselves WARG, Waterloo Aerial Robotics Group, and they had a great story about why they build, how they build, what it means to them, that kind of thing. So really great to illustrate some of the types of technologies that students are now so capable of putting together. Hatch, another one of our sponsors, they put out a press release that talked about challenging the status quo through positive change. We thought that was a great sort of piece of positioning to help them, to help promote this idea of engineering and engineering technology as two of the professions that are the guardians of the changes that are happening in our world today. And, we are all about innovation. We're all about embracing the latest technologies and figuring out how to make those things work for people. And we thought that hashtag positive change was just an excellent way to express, in a nutshell, the way that our profession impacts society, whether it's through taking care of safety or improving quality of life or any other sort of aspects toward the general public. So we thought that was a great spotlight to shine as well on a sponsor who's a thought partner. And University of Ontario Institute of Technology, aka UOIT, they are in their third year of publishing a book. It's actually a hard copy book. They have a PDF as well called Letters to a Young Engineer. So this is a collection of letters that has been written by a number of different people in the engineering community, some of them academics, some of them professionals, some of them leaders, giving advice to the graduating class. So as I mentioned, this is the third year that they've done it, and it's now gone beyond UOIT graduates. They're starting to distribute it to other graduating classes as well, and they're looking to expand it even further. So we thought that was a great example of some of that storytelling and advice giving that really represents the beating heart of our profession. Maybe even more so than some of the technical subjects that people have learned in school. And here's a great example. We did a couple of these spotlights, and this one sort of hit a few different spots. First of all, because Damien here, who was one of our PEngs who volunteered to be profiled, so we can put a face to the engineering profession. Also works for Ontario Power Generation, one of our sponsors, and Damien is a member of the Lakehead PEO chapter, and he worked on their NEM event as well. So we thought that this was fantastic. He told a couple stories about some of the projects he's most proud of and how he knew he was supposed to be an engineer. And again, our overall goal here is to tell a story, to put a human face on some of the technical things that are, so much a part of our society and our world that we don't question them anymore, like power lines, to say, these are the faces that are bringing you these technologies and these sort of feats of engineering. So we were pretty proud of how that one turned out as well. We did a few other spotlights. One of them, Vimbe Brenda here on the left. She is a manufacturing engineer that worked for Cadbury. So we thought that was a fantastic way to bring to life, especially with Easter falling in March this year, and lots of people eating chocolate around the springtime season. It was great to sort of bring that to life and say, yeah, engineers are involved in that too. And on the right here, we've got Paul, who worked on a friendlier, kinder, gentler, single-use coffee cup. So that was great. An eco-friendly, more sustainable packaging design. That was something I think we saw that one got shared quite a lot through our networks, because I know that we're all concerned about the state of the environment, and I think sometimes those little single-serve coffee cups have come to epitomize our disposable society. And so there's a great example of how engineers are working on a topic that means so much and is so sort of front and center in people's minds. Something we did a little bit last year that we managed to do a little bit more of this year, and we thought that they both turned out really well, was to get some of the graduating class that were graduating with their iron ring or their technology ring to reflect on what it means to them to have their iron ring and what they hope to accomplish with it. So again, we really encourage you to click on these links. Go check out those pieces if you haven't seen them already. These two fine young men, very thoughtful, really inspiring to think that the future is in their hands. They're really have some really great ideas for where they want to go in their career and what they'd like to contribute to society. Another innovation we saw this year as far as the storytelling front was something we call Humans of GE. So in this case, GE does not stand for General Electric. It stands for Global Engineering and Entrepreneurship. And this was a takeoff a little bit on the Humans of New York campaign, which you've no doubt seen online, that just profiles different faces and gets them to tell a little bit of a story that's meaningful to them. So they asked some great questions of a really wide cross-section of the engineering profession. Some of them students, some of them professionals, ask them questions like, why is it important to inspire young people to consider engineering? They asked about diversity. They asked about how did you know personally that you were meant to work in this field? So again, just excellent storytelling and a really inspired, trendy campaign that caught a lot of attention online. And we think that this is the type of thing that creates more attention for the profession, which is excellent. Another innovation, this one actually received our innovation funding, and they did something that we thought was really special in that they were teaching young people about the emerging technology, for example, solar energy. They had a number of different activities that they did, and they hit a lot of different classrooms, hundreds of kids, and help them understand, what they can discover and what they can create through understanding these new technologies. So way to go, Trek Education. That was a great job. Another innovation, a great example, was the Grove Community School. So you can see this is a little snapshot of their bulletin board. You can see they've got the NEM poster there right in the middle, as well as a bunch of different resources around engineering and around sort of some of the things that engineers and engineering technologists and technicians touch. If you have a bulletin board like this somewhere in your world, please take a picture of it and send it to us. All this to say that these were some snapshots, some highlights that we saw, and we would love to continue to put together a bigger report and a more comprehensive overview of everything that happened as the weeks go by. We had a ton of news media coverage. We had it last year. We had it again this year. Again, all of these we encourage you to check out. And something that happened more this year that we didn't expect was that some of the events were able to get pre-coverage. That is, they had a write-up like this that said, here are the events that are coming up for National Engineering Month. Here's the theme. There's a place for you. It was so great to see that theme and the hashtag being used in lots of different places, then explaining what was coming up, and then afterwards getting additional coverage. So it was almost like a double whammy, right? We have the pre-coverage and then the post-coverage as well. This is an example from the University of Waterloo's NSOC newspaper called the Iron Warrior. And I can't play them for you at the moment, but the news media coverage that we got, a couple of really stellar examples. One it was from local TV in Thunder Bay. You can see it, everyone's got their NEM t-shirts on here. This particular interview was with Damien, who was a volunteer with PEO Lakehead, and he just did a great job of saying really succinctly that we want to encourage people to consider engineering who might not have thought of it before. We want to encourage young girls. We want to encourage anyone to consider engineering who maybe that we want them to know engineers aren't just one type of person. So just really, really well said. Myself, I haven't listened to the EWB University of Ottawa interview, but I'm told that it's fantastic as well. So great job getting out there in the media. I know sometimes it goes against our character, goes against our instincts a little bit to, sort of stick our necks out and say, look at us, look what we're doing. I think often we tend to be a little more humble and prefer to fly under the radar. But this is the one time of year where we really need to do that. We need to toot our own horn, let everyone know about all the great stuff that we're doing, because that just amplifies the effectiveness of the campaign and causes it to grow year over year. So great job on the social media, everyone. As Alan mentioned earlier, NEM 2016 just blew up. We had so many great photos. This is just a little sampling. You can see those happy faces. They really say it all. Some of these were bridge building. Some of this, there's someone hacking an ATM here. Some of these were pulley systems and homemade sort of wind turbine type things, and people holding prize checks apparently. So good to know that that worked as well to get everybody excited and hyped up. A few more things that were happening here. We had some some programmable logic controllers happening. We had some Kinects building, some other things here. You can see there's our team chilling out a little bit. This was Engspire. They put together this series of cartoon avatars that were all about different types of engineers, different disciplines of engineers, with a little caption about each one of them. This is, I believe, from the Raptors game. All of the representatives of our different partner organizations speaking there. That's really great, and having a little bit of fun letting their hair down at the Raptors game. So all of these were different aspects of the experience of National Engineering Month. Something that we think is really cool that only happened this year, or it happened to a much greater extent this year because we noticed it, was that there were people tweeting about NEM 2016 and posting about NEM 2016 that were not directly involved in the campaign. They were not sponsors. They were not organizers. They didn't have to. They were just saying, hey, it's National Engineering Month. We want to jump in the conversation as well. So in this way, we're gradually expanding the size of the tent, if you will, to bring more and more people on board. And this to us was a really cool sign that what we're doing is working. It is catching on. People are taking notice of what we're doing, and even though they don't necessarily have to talk about National Engineering Month, no one's asking them to, they're taking it upon themselves and getting involved and joining the conversation. So that was pretty cool to see. Well done, everyone, for creating that initial landslide online. Another sort of highlight that we thought, and again, this is from the online side of things, was Instagram. We saw the community expanding. People are posting around National Engineering Month. Over here on the left, we have Centennial College, and this is their student team, their College Challenge team. We always love to see those T-shirts in action and the smiles on people's faces. Clearly, they're having a good time. Right here in the middle, we have the Ontario Science Centre post. They've done a little bit of a rendition here of the iron rings with the in the symbol of the Ontario Science Centre. Happy NEM to everyone. So that was pretty cool. And here is a post from Ryerson, and they had Norm Kelly show up at a couple of their events, and they were pretty starstruck. Norm Kelly retweeted us a few times as well, so it was kind of neat to see some engagement from some sort of celebrities. We had a couple of MPs answer back to us and mention the National Engineering Month campaign. I believe we had a letter from the Prime Minister as well. The Conestoga team managed to get one of those. So some really neat signs that the campaign is really growing in its profile, and people are taking notice. Of course, there was the 30 and 30. Wow, there's just so much going on. The 30 and 30 campaign is something that the Chair for Women in Science and Engineering puts on every year. They profile a different woman in engineering every day, and on March 1st, it was our very own Rose Almond from Engspire. So she's the one who put together an organization, Engspire, that's been working with Girl Guides and Boy Scouts, putting on a sizable number of events every single year, and she got profiled here. So we think that was just fantastic that she was able to hold herself up as a role model on this national stage through the 30 and 30 campaign. And I think Alan's going to take it from here.
Yeah, all right. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the College Challenge. Again, we spoke a bit about it earlier. There were 13 teams this year from, I believe, 7 colleges, 7 Ontario colleges participating. One of them here is Niagara College. They were new to the College Challenge, and they did a really good job. They got coverage in the local newspaper. There's the organizer there, Daniela, as well as the speaker there with the big bushy beard. He was the speaker. I believe his name is Neil Walker. He's an engineer himself, and he wanted to talk about engineering, especially in the 21st century, and what the impact of the work that engineers and engineer technologists and technicians do affects society. He really hammered home specific points about water issues and the cross section between engineering and development overseas, which is perfect for the type of work that we're doing and perfect for the campaign. A great event overall. The other colleges: Conestoga, Centennial, George Brown, Humber, Loyalist College, Seneca, Sheridan, and St. Lawrence College. Humber College and St. Lawrence were both also new in addition to Niagara. So we're really growing the number of teams that are participating in this. And there you see a picture from an event. Here we have just 2 more photos of the goings-on during a college challenge event. The one on the left is from Humber's event, where they entered a few schools and gave a workshop about engineering. I believe that's an electronics workshop where they have a multimeter and a breadboard. And then on the right was a fun little one there by St. Lawrence College, where they framed engineering challenges around the zombie apocalypse. They really got into it. As you can see, they put on makeup and zombie makeup and decided to play the part in order to get kids really into it. And I believe they did. A couple of participant surveys going on. So we offer participant surveys for students, or sorry, for organizers to give out to the students in order to track and to see how well they absorb the information. Are we doing our job as event organizers at getting the audience to understand engineering and engineering technology? So a couple of sample questions. Do you think and technology affect our safety? As you can see, we got a couple of yeses, of course, and then no. And then the second question: what did you learn about engineering and engineering technology that you didn't know before? I learned that it's easy to program robots. That's great. And another one about their local area. They learned that there's a giant mine in the area, and that chemicals can be toxic, and that we have to that we can leverage our engineering knowledge in order to make sure that those chemicals don't reach us. Lastly, we ran webinars such as these. We also ran a webinar about how to measure your event effectiveness. So that's through the scorecards. How to amplify your event through social media. We ran a webinar about that. A webinar about how to recruit volunteers, and a new one, which I think is very important: how to improve diversity in your outreach event, which really, coincided with the change of theme to "There's a Place for You." So yeah, and you can see all of the webinars on our website using the link there. Reflection. So since I have the mic, I'll just go with mine. So each one of us on the team, had our own reflection about, what did we learn over the past month, and in fact probably are still learning today. My reflection was about the volunteers and how passionate they were, and they make our jobs a lot easier by being who they are and being so passionate about what they're doing. The fact that it's interesting to me that people who volunteer for something like this, something like National Engineering Month, the stuff that we give them and the themes that we tell them to talk about, they already have it in their back pocket. That's what they were going to talk about in the first place. They weren't thinking about talking about math and science. They really came into it without our help, wanting to talk about their impact on society, engineering's impact, how engineering takes a diversity of knowledge, and so on. So it's really great. It makes our jobs a lot easier that we're sort of aligned on how we want to talk about engineering.
Okay, great. I'll jump in next to say that one of the things that is becoming clearer to me that I've been reflecting on over the last little while is how amazing it is when we give support and guidelines but ultimate creative control to our network of volunteers. So we're trusting the volunteers to represent engineering and engineering technology in a way that is professional, that is ethical, that is appropriate, and fun and inspiring, and really aligns with the strategic objectives that we have. People have just run with it, and we've been able to really flip the formula to a certain extent, because we're not just leaning on staff members who are already extremely busy and overtaxed with much of what they have to do. We're not just looking at tapping into existing resources from our partner organizations. We're actually bringing new people into the fold and catalyzing their involvement. We're giving them tools and support like the webinars, like the scorecards, other tools that they need, and then basically getting out of their way. And what we've seen over the last couple of years is just this gradual building, this groundswell of people that are just coming through with flying colors and just really stepping up. So I think that's just been incredible, and it's really exciting to see how it builds year over year, and I can't wait to see what happens next year.
Okay, hi everyone. So Shivangana here. So what I got out of this campaign was that we need to continue doing all that we can to provide the best resources for our volunteers, because at the end of the day, like Erica and Ellen mentioned, they're the ones that are making things happen. And even though we tried our level best to accommodate for all that we could to, support them through webinars or all the other things that we provided, the merchandise, there's always still room for improvement, and they all need to feel like we're there for them whenever they need it. And if at any point they feel like feelings of being overwhelmed, we should be there with our full toolbox to support them in their times of need. So volunteers are basically the people who are our troops, and they're out there representing them, and we need to do all that we can to help them out to hold bigger and better events each year, because they're the reason why NEM keeps growing over the years.
Perfect. Well said. Well, we're on the home stretch here. These are our last two slides. First of all, we just want to say that NEM 2016 was already the largest ever total of events. To me, it's unbelievable that we just keep building and building. Last year and the year before that, we were saying the same thing, and it just keeps being true that we're creating the largest ever event total year over year. As of even a couple weeks ago, we were already thinking about next year. But that said, we are going to continue to share some event recaps and other articles and success stories on our blog, so we encourage you to check that out at nemontario.ca. And we will be continuing to post year-round, although at a slower pace, as you can imagine, on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. So if you're not already following us, please do get your fellow chapter members or your fellow organization members to follow us as well. Get your family members to follow us. We really think that what we're doing is pretty special, and people need to know about it. So in closing, we want to leave you with a few questions to ponder, and we're going to, actually, yeah, let's go back. Let's do the volunteer appreciation piece and say, just even though we've said it a couple of times, we'll just iterate one more time. It would not be possible to do what we do without the volunteers, and your collaboration means a lot. It means a lot when you show up for webinars. It means a lot when you take the time to read our emails. It means a lot when we get that engagement and that spark from you and that excitement. We know that it can be a bit of a daunting task sometimes, especially if you haven't organized before. But what you're doing really does make a difference, and I encourage you to check out the blog today. Actually, we've got a post up there that was written by the Dean of Engineering, one of the Associate Deans of Engineering from the University of Waterloo, reflecting on how outreach has made a difference to the University of Waterloo and their shifting enrollment over the years. So very inspiring piece. If you're ever convinced that what you're doing isn't making a difference, be assured that it most certainly is, and you're part of a bigger picture and a movement that we're really proud of. So we hope to work with you again next year. So, in closing, let's talk about highlights for you during NEM 2016. We want to know what for you personally was maybe one of the high points or something that you'll remember for a long time. We've been talking for a few years about the fact that we would like to make National Engineering Month just part of everyone's radar screen, sort of like other monthly campaigns, for example, Black History Month. I mean, everybody knows that Black History Month is in February. What could we do to be sort of in people's consciousness, regardless of whether their family member is an engineer or a technologist or a technician? Just have it, front and center on everyone's minds, and have it as something that everyone looks forward to as a fun exploration and an interesting conversation every March. What could you personally do to bring us closer to that goal? What could your chapter do, or what could your organization do? And how can we, as the National Engineering Month steering committee and the support team, how could we support you in getting that done? We're really open to suggestions. We want to know what we can do to remove any barriers, support you, give you resources, give you materials, to build something really big, and maybe something that's a little bit scary because it feels so big. But we really encourage you to do some ambitious dreaming and come to us with those ideas. And one other question: who would you invite to join you next year? So this could be some fellow chapter members, some other volunteers, maybe some neighbors or some members of your family to help you get to where you want to be as far as the outreach goals that you have. So this is pretty much all of what we would like to discuss with you. We're going to invite people who are on the call with us now to respond live. But if you are watching the video replay, then we definitely would like to hear from you via email or our social media accounts. So thank you so much for tuning in.